Hello, we are the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, you betcha.
Mike, why don't you introduce our guest today?
Oh, BART SEARS, a well-known comic book illustrator. What is that? And one of the most exciting illustrators in comics today. And Lincoln Bransch is a writer and a designer. It's been my pleasure to work with Lincoln in the past, and I'm very excited about working with him in the future.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Hey, everybody.
Did you hear any of that? Oh, I don't know what that is.
It sounds like the Disney sound effects reel.
Let me see if I can get the sound off.
Technical difficulties.
Well, guys, I just want to talk. Jeff, why don't you take the lead?
Yeah, it's coming through. I don't know. I don't know if it's somebody has YouTube or something up.
I don't have a YouTube on.
That's something.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to click out and come back on, but you guys carry on.
All right. So,
well, Lincoln, you can introduce yourself and explain Outlier and everything.
Well, hot dog. All right. Well, cool. First off, I think what I would like to do, if I can, is show you guys. Hang on.
Yep.
I meant to share the screen. There we go again. Just 1 second.
It's okay.
Share screen.
It ain't me.
Outlier is on. Is it on Kickstarter right now?
It is on Kickstarter at the moment. Hang on, I sent a screen over to share.
Yep.
Let me embiggen that. Here's the trailer for
Dara stood witness when time began. As the Concordance, he bore record when the framework of our physical world was designed and set in motion. But when ignorance and ambition fractured his people into warring factions, he refused to take a side, an outlier. Instead, he fled into our reality, taking with him secret knowledge. Hidden for millennia among humanity, he has walked alongside us as drifter, recluse, and watcher, living countless lives on the fringe. Now, one man stands on the brink of a discovery, and old foes are closer than ever. Rafe is forced into the open, but will he be able to use his knowledge to stop unseen powers from rewriting reality, or will he be the catalyst that sets it in motion?
there you go. That's cool. That's our little pitch, as it were. Outlier is pretty much the story of a shady private detective trying his best to live a pretty reclusive life, at least whenever we first meet him. And then he kind of has the world blown up in his face, so to speak. And he has to make a choice of whether he's going to run and hide yet again, or if he's going to take a stand, and reality kind of hangs on what he decides to do.
Barb, for our viewers who may not be familiar with you, could you give us a brief outline of your career in comics?
Well, I guess the first big thing I did was work for DC Comics doing Justice League Europe and some Batman stuff and Eclipso, I guess, were the big things I did at DC. I worked at Valiant doing Exo and Turok. At Marvel, what did I do at Marvel? Spider-Woman, something else, and a bunch of stuff for just about every publisher over the years, I guess. Been around a while.
You've been in the independent field for a while now, haven't you?
I think 37 years.
Wow.
Do you have your own publishing house?
Yeah, I did. Back in the 90s, I had a place called Ominous Press for, I guess, a year and a half. And more recently, I was partners in a new Ominous Press. I guess started like 6 or 7 years ago.
How are you doing with Ominous Press? How many titles have you put out?
I guess we did. Oh, that's a good question. We've done, I don't know, 8 or 9 actual Ominous Press titles, and then we've done a bunch of other projects with other creators. But I'm not really involved with that anymore.
Are you still doing interiors?
Pardon me?
Are you still drawing interiors?
I'm sorry.
It's still drawing interiors.
Yeah, when I can. I'm working on a project now that's 12 issues, all interiors for a new publisher.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Very cool.
It does sound as if this airplane has been invaded with gremlins.
That's an excuse.
Might be mine. I don't have a mic set up, so sometimes I maybe get feedback
It
from
ain't
my.
you.
I'm straight through the microphone and the camera too. So I don't know.
Yeah. When I mute his, like right now, it cuts it off. It's Bark, but he's worth it. So
Well, I was doing it before he came on. Lincoln, why don't you give us your view of the state of the comic book industry right now?
Oh my. Well, the comic book industry as it exists right now, in my opinion, is kind of a shambles in so much as it's not what it once was. As a kid growing up in rural Arkansas, for me, comics, for long summers where there wasn't anybody really to spend any time with, and it was work and doing the typical country boy summer thing. Comic books were a place of escape, and it was adventure and excitement and all of those different things. And it was stories that you cared about. And the efforts, it seems like, of the big two these days, being Marvel and DC, it seems like their objective is more, geared toward identity and diversity and, forced inclusivity, and not about story at all. Further, I don't think that modern comics really know how to tell good stories. And that was actually a factor in me wanting to, the pandemic really started me down the path of getting serious about getting out here and trying to do this. But seeing what's happened with comics really helped seal the deal, because there's good stories that people want to tell. There are certainly a lot of people who want to hear and read, good stories. And that's the sad thing about the state of, the big two today, because they've kind of gone into a downward spiral competition to see who can outwoke one another. That's what I think. But
I think that's a fair assessment.
You trapped me with that.
yeah.
And because of their downward spiral, they've given rise to a new field of comics. Some people call it comicscape. Other people just call it independent books, where creators are free to pursue their own dreams without an editorial agenda, which is not to say that some of these books don't have an agenda. But of all the comicscape books I've seen, I really can't point to an agenda on any of them.
Right.
Except to entertain.
Well, and at the end of the day, I think that's what pretty much all of the guys that I've met, that's what they're about, is wanting to, these small press guys, these little guys that are starting out like me, they're not wanting to do anything but to get their content, their creations in front of people, because they've got stories they want to tell, and they remember what good comics were really supposed to be all about.
Well, I think the first rule of comic creation is it's the writer's job to entertain.
Yeah, I will say too, the thing for me too is the bad thing, if you are going to be have some sort of agenda, or you're trying to push some other things, it's nice to at least let some other people come to the table and share those views and stuff too, whether it's whether they're more conservative or more independent, or whatever. And there doesn't seem to be room for anybody like that there. And people that are Christians, people, you can go through the list of a bunch of different stuff. And it would be nice to at least address the other half of the country instead of just one half. And it's very weird. It's funny. And I know some of you may not care about this, but the state of the comic industry reminds me of Taco Bell. Taco Bell is killing itself. It's
really
getting rid of everything of their most popular items.
Yes.
Why? I don't know, because it's stupid, because their sales are crashing. They're all the other, and it's like they're doing the same thing with the mainstream stuff. It's like, and it's almost like the whole that they feel guilty for doing well, or having money, or what, or being successful, or it's very bizarre to me, though.
Well, I mean, and look at the movie industry. I mean, DC arguably never got out of the gate doing the movie thing right at all. But with Marvel, I mean, it's like watching a slow motion car crash. With what they did with the Eternals, that's not Jack Kirby's Eternals. I mean, the story that they put out there for that is it's completely eclipsed by the fact that they're promoting diversity and agenda. It makes no sense.
It's possible to entertain and deliver a message. One need only look at To Kill a Mockingbird or The Grapes of Wrath, two of the greatest movies ever made. But that's because they're fascinating, and they create sympathetic characters with whom the viewer identifies. So you want to know what happens next.
Right. Well, that requires talent, though.
Right. And nobody would begrudge them their agenda if the books were entertaining, but they're not.
Well, that's like, the series, The Expanse. There's a lot of diversity on that show.
Yeah.
There's characters that are, LGBT or whatever. And you know what? You find yourself not caring about whether it's the diversity or the ethnicity or the whatever it may be about a character, because the story's compelling, and that's the thing. It's not that everybody's a bunch of ists or phobics or whatever. It's that people want an entertaining, well-crafted story. I look at, and this is just me, I look at films like, what is it? The Denzel flick where he plays the King Kong Ain't Got Nothing on Me. What's the movie?
Is that Training Day?
Yeah, that's Training Day. And that's a tightly written film.
It's a masterpiece.
It really is, in terms of it all coming together and the most subtle telegraphed nuances that are so important to every step of the film. And it's like building a wall, every piece fits together so tightly, and it's craft, it's the formation of something that's bigger than the sum of its parts. And these loosely conglomerated, things that are put out there now, it's almost like they're elements that are on a writer's room wall. I heard somebody say, you can see that, okay, this scene, and that scene, and they're just scenes carrying the message along. They're not, it's not interwoven. It's not crafted together.
That's true. But on the bright side, there are good movies out there.
Sure, you bet.
You know where to look. I watched a movie the other day called Let Him Go, which was a searing thriller set in the 1960s in North Dakota, starring Kevin Costner and Diane Lane as two grandparents who are trying to retrieve their grandson from a cruel family that took him away.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm at a point in my life where I have to believe the story could happen for me to enjoy it. And that doesn't preclude science fiction or horror or anything like that.
Sure.
Because I bought every second of The Exorcist. And there are other horror movies like that I think, yeah, they got me. But as soon as they go overboard, and this doesn't have to do with delivering a message, because I'll give you an example. Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
Whom I love, and I started watching. And as you know, he's a mild-mannered home guy until home invaders come to his house, and then it turns out that he's actually a retired CIA super assassin. And by the end of the movie, he's mowing down hundreds of faceless, nameless assassins along with his grandfather. And it just became so absurd that I said, oh, well, you know, this is fun in a Bugs Bunny kind of way, but I don't believe a word of it. And that was a problem for me.
I got you. That makes total sense. It really does.
But if you've seen The Grapes of Wrath or To Kill a Mockingbird, you can watch those movies over and over again, and they will reward you because they are deep and insightful portraits of humanity, and they're also very entertaining with unforgettable dialogue.
I think Bart wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
First, The Expanse is the best sci-fi show ever. I love that show.
Yeah.
That show is awesome.
Yeah.
And To Kill a Mockingbird is my favorite book ever. I love that. The movie was great as well. You know, I don't care about the politics of any of it. What I see happen in the industry, and I haven't actually looked at or read a Marvel or DC book unless somebody handed it to me to look at. And I don't know, since probably I quit Marvel and went to CrossGen.
Right.
Stopped doing monthly mailing of books. And it's not because I have any problem with them. It's just nothing has really caught my eye or drawn my attention to it. What I saw happening is when I got into comics, the editors were all seasoned pros that moved up. And, you know, they graduated from slaving freelance to, you know, an office editorial job, and they all knew what they were doing. They knew the power of story. They knew what was a good story, what wasn't a good story. They knew what was exciting, what wasn't exciting, and they knew what made a comic and what didn't make a comic.
Who were those editors, Bart?
In the past, when I got back after CrossGen and did some stuff at Marvel and DC, times are really changing where, you know, your editor might be 23 years old and right out of college.
Yep.
And has no experience, and therefore it's difficult to respect him, especially when they're trying to judge your layouts or something, your storytelling. And, you know, I don't know what they've learned of story in their schooling. And not that they could have been brilliant. I don't know. I didn't work with too many of them. But everything had changed in that time. I went away from CrossGen, where an editor hired you, you know, either based on the proposal you gave of how to bring this character forward in the next 2 or 3 years, or, you know, you talked with him and you guys agreed on a direction, and he let you go write and go draw whatever it was and do your thing, and he guided the ship. And when I came back into comics from CrossGen, it seemed like all the storylines were coming from down top. All the decisions were made above the editorial level, and editors were, it seemed to me, and I've heard the other guys were, you know, pencil pushers. You know, they were just moving stuff around and making sure stuff got done, but they couldn't even hire who they wanted.
Right.
To get it. And I think that kind of over the top creativity, you know, control of the creative ideas and force is going to kill anything.
Yeah.
There's a theme running through this, and it's the death of meritocracy, in that the comics industry and many industries are no longer hiring people on their ability to do the job, but for superficial characteristics.
Yeah, and they, you know, and like he was saying, because Gabe, who just recently left DC Comics, that was exactly what he was saying. He's like, all of these editors we're working with, like, they have no experience, like, actually making a comic. And I will say that too, like you're saying, that's across the board with most of the industries in America. I mean, in so many different industries, they have people that they just give them those jobs as managers or editors or whatever because they went to school for it. And also, I will say, probably because they can pay them less too.
Yes, that's why a lot of talent gets hired too, is because you reach a page rate and they don't want to pay it anymore for whatever reasons.
Yep.
And they can get it done cheaper, so they do.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of an ageism in comics. I did tell Mike, he was probably offended when I said it, but I did tell him, like, I wish that one of the things I would love to do is start like something where you did let seasoned professionals be able to make the stuff that they wanted. Yeah, old geezers, but people who've, just like, well, Mike knows.
Anybody in this group that qualifies for that, right, Mike?
Yeah. Well,
I saw Hendrix.
Yeah. Honestly, like, any kind of craftsman gets better with their age. Yeah, you might have limitations, like I have arthritis and different things, but they get better because they have so much experience.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
I mean, there are a lot of writers out there that have been getting worse.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you kind of believe your own.
I'll tell you, when you're told what to write or how to draw something or how to tell a story, sucks the life out of anything you're working on. I mean, you get a script you can tell the writer didn't care about because he was just doing what he was told, and you just get it done. I mean, it is a commercial art. You get paid by the page, so the more pages you do, the more money you make. So
yeah.
And the best, and I think this comes from inexperience too. The best editors are additive. They don't take away from it, or they don't. And so many times, like, I don't necessarily think they're necessarily trying to tear something down. They just don't understand.
I think
and they want to be heard.
Well, and honestly, I think that you talk about these kids that are fresh out of college, that they have their liberal arts degree, and all they've done is been through 4 years of liberal professors teaching liberal thought, and that ideology and that worldview is what's been ironed into their head. And they come into the comics world without the years of experience and without, understanding that, from my perspective, being mostly on the reader's side, but having great respect for the Bernie Wrights of the world and the Jim Shooters and all of the different ones who came before. They don't have that background, and further don't appreciate it. It's like kids making, shows and saying, well, if it's black and white, it's not worth watching, Yeah.
There's also a problem with young editors feeling that they have to leave their mark on the story.
Mm.
Yep.
And it's worse if they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'd like to mention a couple of the great editors with whom I worked was Archie Goodwin and Denny O'Neil.
Yes.
Who both came up through the ranks and were very skilled writers. I mean, Archie Goodwin's Manhunter is a classic to this day, and it was Denny O'Neil who launched Batman into the 21st century with his hard-hitting stories about drug abuse and racism, among other things. But the stories were entertaining. They didn't beat you over the head. And even though you might not agree with them, you dug the story.
Yeah.
It just all comes down to if it's a good story or not. All the rest is bullshit.
Right. I had a great writing teacher in college. His name was Jerry McNeely. And he said, you make them laugh a little bit, you make them cry a little bit, you scare the hell out of them, and that's entertainment.
That's it.
That's a pretty good line. Yep.
Yeah, I think, editors, I will say, and I don't know what the solution is for this.
I do.
But I know you do. You have the solution for everything. But man, I do wish a lot of the Kickstarter and Indiegogo books had better editors helping them to make them a little bit better. Because usually somewhere, obviously, Bart's cover is not a lacking area with Outlier, and I'm sure Outlier is really good. But man, there's so much stuff out there, and it usually for me, I mean, it is you wanting to help the person and
Right.
not necessarily, oh my gosh, this property or this story is amazing. It's like, this person's a really nice person. They really seem to love what they're doing, and but it's a lot of times it's like, man, that story has great art, but the story is like, or like the story's really good, but the
The
art is
hardest part of
kind of,
any art is editing yourself.
yeah,
Knowing what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, how to fix it. I mean, and even recognizing, what
Yeah.
needs to be fixed. I mean, that's why a great editor is invaluable.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's why I wish there was an easy, cheap solution for people that were doing Kickstarters and things. And
Well, that's one major flaw I think in the whole Kickstarter model is you've got a lot of loose cannons out there that are they're shooting their best shot, but it is what it is. It may be grape shot where a 12-pounder needs to be, or the other way around. And it's I know that with mine. Even though I don't have a ton of experience actually producing comics, I've been writing and working in the publishing world for 30 years. So I kind of have a handle on, and designing. Honestly, designing a great logo is a lot like writing a great story in so much as it's about getting it to the point of being tight and I have clients come to me all the time. I'm still a working graphic artist, and I have clients come to me all the time wanting 73 things involved in the thing. And I said, at the end of the day, you have to edit this. It has to come down to something that is iconographic, that conveys your message and does what it needs to do as quickly and as distinctly as possible. And getting it to that point. I take writing pretty much the same way. And I've let Mike has gone over my script with me and looked at most of it. And I don't know, I've probably screwed up on some of it, and I'm going to learn from it. But at the end of the day, it's all part of the process. And at the same time, I know a guy like you're talking about. There was a fella who put out an absolutely gorgeous book, and I mean, it looked like anything that it looked like it came straight out of 90s Image, as far as just glossy and shiny and pretty and whatever. But I got into it, and it was probably a 36 page book, and I couldn't get through the whole thing story wise.
Well, that was the big problem with Image too. When they came out, the art was great, and they needed help with writers.
Yeah.
No editors there either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you announce 53 projects and came out with 4 in a year, whatever.
I have to point out that Lincoln has done the logo for the Western I'm doing with Pat Broderick, Bronze Star.
Oh,
and
cool.
he did a brilliant job.
Yeah. I assume you did the logo for Outlier too.
I did.
Because I do like that logo a lot.
Yeah,
and I will say you'll probably okay. I'm kind of a graphic design nerd too. Although I try not to overdo it.
You undersell yourself, Jeff.
I know, but I like to help friends. I don't like to do it for a ton of other people because and he knows, I'm sure he could tell us a million horror stories. Working with people and doing graphic design for them is a massive pain in the butt.
1,000,001.
Because they don't know what they want. They
right.
think they know what they want, but they don't know what they want. And but I will say this, and I know this is going to be and he and I are probably going to be two of the only people that really appreciate this. But I will tell you, with graphic design, I am enjoying the overall where graphic design has gotten to now, where it's still minimalist in a lot of ways, but they're bringing flavor back into it. Like you're yeah. I mean, it's been mega minimalist. Thank you, Apple, for many years, and now
they're deconstruct so far.
Yeah, it's like now they're finally starting to bring more flavor back in, and it's like, okay, good, yes, let's at least have a little bit. Like it's nice to have some kind of balance there, where you get some style instead of everything looking the same, and all of the Walmart and everywhere else just using super similar fonts and everything on everything. It's like,
Just
can we get any more mundane? Yeah.
For
I'd like to
everyone.
show the people an example of Lincoln's work, which I just DM'd to you on Facebook, and I think I will DM it to Lincoln as well. This is for a noir book I'm working on with Kevin Johnson, and Lincoln did this logo, and I think he knocked it out of the park. The name of the book is Groovin' High.
Oh. Hey, Lincoln, can you put it on your thing?
Sure. Hang on. There we go.
Oh, there it is right there. Hey. Groovin' High.
Very cool.
And
now,
honestly,
it's about a jazz musician who falls in love with the wrong dame.
I feel like that was the name of your high school, Mike.
Not my high school.
I don't know. You play it like that, Mike. You really do. Of course, I don't know. Half of Bart's responses end with Coolio. So, maybe it was his. Who knows?
That's because
it ages me for sure.
Yeah.
I still call everybody man too. I can't stop.
As far as that logo is concerned, see, if it was left up to me, I would bells and whistle that up a little bit more, just to put some glitz and some shine on it and whatever. Mike doesn't let me play enough whenever I work for him. He says, I want this color. I want the brightest, most acidic yellow you can possibly find. You know, okay, Mike, that's what we'll do. So,
well, I want that logo to pop.
Yeah. We do our best for you. That's the. I've actually been getting quite a bit of contacts from different ones about doing logo design for comics and stuff. And I've been trying to do some of that, for different ones, because some of these books that come out, these guys, it's the same thing with signs. So people, that's the last thing they think about. Is the logo, and they'll just stick something up there, and that free font you got off of fonts.com or whatever is not always just the best solution. But
the worst is when you can't even make out some of the letters. It's like
right.
I have no idea what that says.
And they have all the funky spellings for weird words, or whatever, and you're like
branch.
Hey, give it a rest. Blame it on my ancestry.
Like Berserker. And I will say too that's another area too where I think a lot of the crowdfunded stuff has decent lettering. Some of it's really good, but that is another area where it's like it's kind of the last thought that a lot of people have, and sometimes they think about it after they're running out of their budget or whatever, and then it's like, well, I'll just do it. And it's like
also dialoguing pages and balloon placement is an art. And sometimes honestly, darlings, if the artist didn't give you the space you need, you've got to figure something else out.
I'm actually running into that with the interiors on Outlier, and don't get me wrong, my interiors guy's awesome. He doesn't speak English really well. We had an interesting story. I had a situation where I talked about an elevator car in the book, in the scene, and he's always sending me, the roughs and whatever. And he's Argentinian. Actually, he was born in Italy, but he's lived in Argentina his whole life. And he sends me this rough with my lead character, inside a car, inside an elevator. And I'm like, no, that's not what we're drawing. But anyway, he had no problem fixing it. But that type of problem is there, and he's a brilliant artist. But even though I gave him liberty to like expand pages and have more room to be able to tell the story his way, I still, when it comes to balloon placement, I'm worried about it, which is why I'm not having somebody else letter the book.
Well, there's a simple solution to that, and that's to tell the artist to be sure to pencil in the word balloons.
Yeah, I don't know that would work with this guy.
Artist Mike, come on.
I know a few.
Word balloons.
It's about the art.
And he does a great job telling the story with the art. Unfortunately, I do need to
That's
stay.
what's important.
See, I mean, well, I would trust you. I would trust you, someone with a graphic design that understands like the visual flow and everything. I mean, thankfully you have that to help your books look good and read well, and you're probably like me where like things that you don't know you'll study up on it, and you'll watch YouTube videos or whatever, and you'll watch interviews with letterers and different things, and they'll explain stuff.
Right.
But a lot of people don't do that much research, but they should, especially
For sure.
And I will say this because I talked to this. I had no idea what a pretty awesome, powerful lady she was when I talked to her this week. But she has set up and done a lot of deals in Hollywood and other places. And she is like a big time supporter of crowdfunding stuff and really likes supporting comics. But a lot of her friends and the people that she knows and everything, they'll ask her, because they know she's done all these big Hollywood deals and all these different things, to like, well, can you show my stuff or whatever? And the number one thing that she says is, you need to get an editor. She's like, it's not at that professional level yet to where like the real people that are going to be willing to put millions of dollars into your thing, like, you need to impress them. It needs to be professional level. And that's what, and I was like, it was kind of cool hearing it coming from her too, just that it's like, yeah, they need, and it's not like they're terrible, because they're not. And there was a lot of really cool stuff in like those Image comics, but like, man, I found myself, as much as I liked Jim Lee's stuff and a lot of the other things back then, I ended up going for stuff more like the Max, where it was so much better. The stories were so much more, just well told and everything, and it just, and there was like so much thought into that, not just the art. And it's like, man, I hope people really, especially people out there doing it, that they really take that to heart and at least have somebody. I mean, even if they know some old washed up loser like Mike Barron, have them have them look over this stuff and give you pointers and get
another
their
good
opinion.
rule is when I write something, I never send it out the day that I finish. Never. I always let it sit for a few days, and I take a look at it with fresh eyes the next day, and I'll go over a script a dozen times trying to make it better. And then I won't let it out of the house unless I think, yeah, this script clicks on all cylinders.
Yeah. Well, except for the numbering of the chapters.
You would bring that up.
Hey, nobody's perfect.
It's so, I mean, it's just so funny because I'll say stuff to him about those things, and I was like, okay, what is this supposed to be? And sometimes it ends up being chapter 25 and a half, because he has a very specific vision or whatever that he's going for, or he just thinks it's funny.
I'm trying to keep the chapter heading straight from now on. I go through them now, and I hope I haven't done that. But I can't tell you how many times I've written a comic book script, and someone will write me, the artist will say, "Why is there 2 page 14s?"
Yeah.
I ran into that with Outlier.
Bart never ran into that.
Ever.
So,
well, we must work together.
I just take the second 14.
Yeah.
I have several 14-1 and 16-1 and 2, because that's the way. Again, Flavio has worked with the art, and he'll expand the book in order to be able to get what he wants. How he wants to tell the story. And I've kind of tried to give him his head to be able to do it his way, because I try to say here 5 panels, 6 panels per page, but a lot of times even then it's hard to get everything, to go where it needs to be.
Oh yeah.
And Mike says you got to grab him by the throat, and Chuck Dixon says every page has to be a cliffhanger, and both those things are true. And trying to get that simpatico with an artist is not always, especially when you've got the language barrier and you're not always on the same time schedule, and blah blah blah. But honestly, just finding artists who are willing to work. There's a lot of people who say they want to draw comics, who say they are comic artists, but whenever
Lincoln, would you post the link to your project in the private chat? So
yes, sir. Sure will.
Yeah, and Lincoln, I'll tell you the solution to all your problems about too many panels. They're called insert panels, and artists love them.
There we go. Somebody found that quicker than me. And there's my low number. We got to get that up. I need help.
We will help.
Yes, Mike will help.
Mike's already been a fantastic help. I appreciate all of the support he's been up to now, for sure.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah,
that's great. I will say this about Mike Barron, and I don't care who hears it. Of all of the professionals I've come to know over the past 3 or 4 years, Mike has been the most willing of a higher profile, professional to be willing to say, yeah, sure, I this is what I do, and I'll take my time to do it, more than anybody else. And I really, really appreciate, joking aside, playing aside, I really appreciate that from him, because a lot of these guys are still trying to get their own nut, and I get that, and Mike's trying to get his, but at the end of the day, it's either going to keep going or it's not, and it takes everybody willing to help each other out. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and it makes it, like a lot of the stuff too, it makes it fun. If you it brings joy and stuff like that. And sometimes, that's, and then a lot of times, as we find out when we get older, it's the joy and the fun side is probably more important than the success side, or not that you don't want to get paid, but it's nice to enjoy what you're doing, or enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't start that. I knew that I was a newbie, as far as an unknown. I didn't go out here planning to make, a bunch of money off of this book. I'm probably going to lose money on it. But it ultimately, on this one, it doesn't matter. I would like to be able to begin to create, a platform where I could tell my stories, and where people say, yeah, I want to hear what that guy has to say. I was on another panel with some other guys. They do a book called Miskatonic High School or something. And they started off, being total unknowns. Nobody knew them, whatever. And their first Kickstarter, they struggled to get, over the $4,000 mark, or whatever. Right. Oh, but yeah. They've continued to do their series, and they're sitting now. I think the last book they did was like issue number 15 of the same series, which is amazing to try to do that. They're putting out a book every 60 days now through Kickstarter, and their last one, they raised $25,000, for their little book. And, starting from being nobody with no following, no anything, and plugging along, it's possible. It's just my clock is ticking. I should have started this whenever I was 25, not 51. But
yeah, that's.
Don't argue with me. I really am that old. I know I look much, much younger than that.
That's okay. I'm older than that. So. And who's older between Mike? No, I'm just joking. So Mike and Bart, did you guys work together?
No, in fact, we've never met.
Never.
Wow. That was.
I don't think we even met at a show, did we?
Nope.
We never crossed paths at all.
Wow.
Well, Bart strikes me as a guy who loves to be out there in the public eye. So.
Who, me?
No, Bart. From our conversations and stuff, Bart is all about the promotions.
Oh yeah.
But, you know, it's no joy to go to a con these days, especially if you have to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, and the cons are so irritating with the booming and the noise. I had to get these. I wear these at the cons now.
Oh, nice.
It's a shooter earphones.
Those are
And they're
shooter goggles, yeah.
tremendous. How helpful they are, I can't tell you. You put them on and it reduces the ambient sound by about 90%.
Nice. Do you wear those on the airplane too?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
especially if I'm next to a chatty person. Excuse me.
I was gonna say, you don't wear those around Anne, right?
No.
Well, I started to say I've been married for 30 years. Selective hearing is a talent that I've mastered.
Oh, the talent I've mastered is to shut up.
Yeah.
It's a valuable skill.
That could be the toughest one.
It really is, because guys, we want to fix stuff, and it's like they don't if they don't ask you, they don't want to know. They don't want to know how to fix it. They want you to care.
Right.
Even if they ask.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Don't give me a solution. Just show that you care.
Yeah.
I'm showing that I care. I'm offering a solution.
Right. Exactly. Now leave me alone so I can finish my comic. No, I'm just no. What? Bart, did you? Can you tell us about your project or whatever that you're trying to get going? Or
Nope.
Oh.
No. It's with a company that's all in their hands, and
So you.
it's up to them to promote and do all that, and you know, when they're ready. I know they're working on a website, so I know they're getting ready to.
When is Heads Will Roll going to come out?
Pardon me?
Heads Will Roll. When do those actually?
I still haven't gotten my proof from the printer, which I'm waiting for. So as soon as I get that, then it'll print them. I'll pick them up and start drawing heads.
Nice.
Awesome.
Heads to draw on those covers.
Yeah. You can put Mike's head and my head on there too. So.
No, they want heroes, man.
Oh, that's right.
No, I've already got. I think I've had one of those already picked up. One of the Heads Will Roll books got picked up. So I'm already secondhand selling one of those that I got from you.
Awesome.
So we'll need to get that signed.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this. I've just been kind of posting a little bit of people's comments up here. I do like this. In any project, you need honest feedback. Yes, men aren't going to make you better at your craft.
Yeah,
very true.
I call it a beta reader. Somebody who can go over your stuff and who will shoot you straight. Not.
Somebody who knows what they're doing.
Which is rarely someone in your family or your
I don't know. My brother loves to tear me up. So.
I was gonna say that's why I said rarely. It's not if you find the right people, and there are people that have those skills and are editing, and do edit things, or they're good writers, and you can run stuff.
I write with my wife.
Artists.
Well, I've had great teachers.
We make a great team.
Yeah,
that's good.
Works out really well.
Yeah, there's a few.
Not always
easy,
but generally pretty well, and the stuff comes out great. I'm pretty lucky.
That's fortunate.
That's awesome. Yeah, when we were talking to Sergio, he was talking about how he puts his wife and the rest of his family and people to work when he has a lot of deadlines, and he'll have them. Bart, okay, this will give you some ideas, Bart. He has them do like flatting and filling in the blacks and things.
That's a great idea.
I was in Andy Helfer's office back in the early days of Justice League Europe.
Oh, wow.
And Andy was telling me that he got this page in from Pablo, or Pablo dropped off pages of inks.
Yeah.
And Andy said, I looked at him and I said, are you letting your daughter ink backgrounds again? And Pablo was like, she begged me. Go fix it.
Oh my God.
That was hysterical.
Again, my 10-year-old has, whenever I was struggling to find a colorist, I let my daughter see some of the work that she said, Dad, let me do it. And she's 10. I'm like, honey, I'll give you a cheat to do, but I don't think you need to be doing the coloring. But yeah, I get that. It won't be, she already answers my phone for me for the business. She is the secretary. She answers, we homeschool. So she answers my phone and she sounds, like a very young secretary, but
you got to be honest. You said that she has your phone all the time.
Okay, dang it. She has my phone, but she also answers it. Yeah, go ahead. Come here. You might as well. Just so you know.
Secretary.
Get out of the logo there, bro.
I can't see it behind
let me-
the logo.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey.
Wearing her Superman shirt.
Awesome.
She's a little bit of a nerd, aren't you? Yeah.
Yes.
You need to ask for a raise.
It's like, what is a raise? You mean there's money? Yeah. Well, she does. She gets pretty much anything she wants, I think, except for a YouTube channel.
Definitely got her own phone though.
Oh, and she's got my phone, which might as well be her own. She doesn't need her own phone. Hush, Bart. Anyway, all right, run on.
Okay.
See you.
Okay, bye.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Anyway, I couldn't do without her. She's awesome. I raised 3 boys, and I would rather. And my wife and I we adopted her when she was 3 days old, and I wouldn't take anything for her. She's amazing. It was better than winning the lottery. She's an amazing kid.
She's a cutie.
Yeah. Is she good in school?
Oh yeah, she's very, very smart.
A lot of girls are, since they mature before guys do.
Oops. Advertising Crowder. Anyway.
That reminds me, I have coffee.
Thank you, darling.
My oldest daughter loved school. It was her favorite thing ever. The other 5, not so much.
Yeah.
You have 6 kids, Bart?
Yeah.
Holy smokes, no wonder you work from home.
You'd think I'd work somewhere else, but no.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, I was gonna ask you, did you work at the Ultimar location at all for the?
Oh yeah. I guess it was 3 years. I was here, 3+ years. Oh yeah, every day.
Wow. Yeah, I might. I
enjoyed that, going into an office and you just have this one page to do and there's no distractions. I mean, other than idiots swimming around, but you go in, you get a page done, you go home. It was kind of heaven. Of course, that only worked for me like 2 different times for like 3 or 4 months at a time because I kept getting involved in the management stuff, and that was forever ongoing and everything that was. But yeah, it was great.
Everybody talks about their time at CrossGen like it was really kind of a comic artist nirvana or a comic creator nirvana. Yep. Chuck Dixon really speaks highly of it.
Yeah, it was fun. You got to walk around and look it up. Everybody had to post their pages and stuff, and you just got to walk around and see everybody's work. So it was really a creative driving force.
Yeah, wow.
Artists. I can't speak for the writers, but for the artists, it certainly was. And
yeah, I liked how
work in an atmosphere like that.
I liked how you guys were all grouped together, like for the books and stuff. I used to live near there. I'm not that far away now, but yeah. So I did the tour like a couple times and got to see. And it was like, yeah, it was real. I thought it was genius to have the whatever pencil and inker and colorist or what, like have them that are working on the books like right close to each other. So they can talk and discuss things and yeah, I liked it. And I mean, especially compared to the different shots that I would see of for DC or Marvel, where it was like almost just like cubicles of everybody kind of separate and everything. I was like, wow, this is like very different. And even like, at least when I was there, they had kind of like almost like mood lighting where it was like dark, but it was it was lit in the areas where you guys were working.
Yeah, the light box guys and the computer guys are like, you have to turn these lights off. We can't work with 8 billion volts of fluorescent lights.
Right.
Right.
All day long.
Yeah.
And so that was awesome. So it was always nice and dark in there.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
It was a great place. It was fun.
It's just not fair. I being the guy from Arkansas, you have to understand it's a creative desert here in terms of, I mean, we're not close to any con. We're not close to.
Just a second. Allegiance Arts is located in Arkansas.
Okay, yeah, I
Oh,
know.
that's
And I haven't reached out really and tried to get a hold of Mitch and talk with him yet, but Mitch is doing amazing things. I will. You're right. I like every one of their books. I think it's incredible, and him working the deal to get their stuff in Walmart. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Also, R.J. Carter lives in Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm R.J. Carter. I'm doing his show tonight, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
R.J.'s in the comment section.
Yeah, and he's the guy. If you need distribution help with anything, RJ is the guy for distribution. He's really good at handling the cogs and wheels of getting books sent where they need to go at a premium. I mean, at a discount rate.
Nice.
So, anywho, just to plug him a little bit there. But as far as conventions, as far as get-togethers, as far as creative talent, that you can, we don't have any, there's really not a lot of places. At least whenever I was a young guy growing up, there wasn't really a whole lot of ways to reach out and, be a part other than through. Honestly, where I met or first encountered Bart's work was, I said before you came on, the first thing I ever saw of your work was that Whitman cover of Wizard number 9.
Yeah.
Was the first thing that I saw of your work. And Wizard magazine for the longest time was like, I mean, that was my comic convention in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And man, a lot of my
it was perfect at the comics time that came out. And
yeah.
it was always sad they started to get more into film and television stuff. It seemed to take the soul out of that magazine.
I think Arab and company kind of started feeling a little larger than they really were. And
who doesn't? You're successful. And they tried a lot of things, and a bunch of them didn't work. And then they got into, we got to save this mode. And, you get, you do whatever you think you have to do. That's the worst mode to be in, because almost every decision you make then is going to be wrong. So
it's based on panic. You've definitely been there. I've run my own business since 1994 in one form or another. And, from 2007 to 2008, whenever the economy went crazy, my business dropped off like 67% from one year to another. And holy crap, you want to talk about the scrambling for the next 2 years. I was in complete, just restructure mode to try to figure out, what the future was going to be and what it was going to look like and whatever, and ended up making major changes.
I've got good luck. When I got hired at CrossGen, like in August or something, I moved there, and I think it was September or October when the tech bubble crashed.
Yeah.
And once he lost like 2/3 of his wealth in a day.
Yeah.
And then I got hired at a computer game company in Austin and started there. And then that's when, right after I started, the housing market crashed, and their funding pretty much gone. They had a great idea. They had a lot of success, a lot of things lined up, and it was just gone.
Oh, I know.
Where are you located today, Bart?
Pardon me?
Where are you located today?
I'm in Tampa.
Oh, I'm in Spring Hill, so
Oh, okay.
not too far.
No, not too far at all.
Sergio's in Florida too, isn't he?
Oh
Yep. He's over in Oldsmar. Is he still in Oldsmar?
Holiday.
Holiday.
He's in Holiday. I don't remember where Chuck is. Chuck's still in Florida too.
Yeah.
In Florida.
He's up there somewhere too.
All the cool people are in Florida.
That's where my daughter came from. She was born in Hollywood.
I'm just teasing the other people. Actually, I love places like Arkansas, but
Me too.
Well, I'm connected by proxy. See, my daughter is born in Florida, so you know.
I can't wait to get down to Arkansas.
yeah,
Where are you, Mike?
Colorado.
Oh.
Notice he's the only one that pronounces that right. Colorado. Anyway, I've actually thought of throwing or trying to put on a convention here. After there was one in our area that was pretty good, and then COVID came and kind of killed it. They tried to do some sort of virtual convention, and that went over, like a lead balloon. It's like taking a magazine all internet,
yeah.
Not the same thing. But I would like to be a part of the convention thing, but I need to have something to really vend before I jump out there, I think.
Yep. No, it's a good idea. Once you get Outlier out there, you'll have something to show and something you're working on. So
yeah, I've got another book that I wish Outlier were performing a little better, and hopefully it will pick up and do better. But I've got another project in the works that's entirely, completely different, fully in the superhero genre that I kind of would like to do. That's kind of a coming of age thing for a kid, but it's called Hero and Sidekick, and it's about a boy and his grandfather. And anyway, I hope to be able to put that in the works before long, and kind of piggyback that in between issues of Outlier. That's what I'd like to do, and do just see where that goes. And then I've got stuff that is still in my head from 1985. No lie. But I mean, everybody, I know all you guys have the same tale.
I was gonna say, I bet everybody in here does.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. What's crazy though too is when you get the opportunity to start bringing some of those things out, especially the ones that stay with you.
Yeah,
it can be really cool because it can be like the right time to do it later, or you have the right connection. Because I know, like me, like as a writer, like there's some things that I wanted to do, but I didn't have the right artists until now.
Right.
And it's like, and it just makes all the difference in the world, especially in a visual medium.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, you're absolutely right. As far as from the perspective of having the right artists come along, my the other cover artist. Go ahead. The other cover artist, the Javier Giangiacomo, also an Argentinian artist, but he's just he really. If you're familiar with Joe Madura, am I saying that right? Anyway, Joe Mad's art style very similar to him in terms of being dynamic, little bit of manga-esque, or manga-esque sort of look to it. He's got a lot of that going on, and his style. I actually had him do that cover just because I wanted to make a connection of us working together on something, because I wanted to keep him on the hook to put him on this book whenever I could. And, because Hero and Sidekick is kind of a play on the name. Hero is a half Asian kid, and his grandfather is very Asian. I hope I don't get, here I'm going to culturally appropriate, some things there, but I'm going to play with anyway. I just I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole on that book, but that guy's style, like you say, is just absolutely geared toward that type of book, and I just don't want him to get away. I want to work on it. So, that's one of those things, and that's why I picked Bart as the primary guy for the cover art for this project, because Bart's style, he's probably in the top 5 personal favorite artists of mine.
Yeah,
I've been a fan of his work for 30 years, as far as that's concerned. But it's like looking at Gil Kane,
right.
I mean, not to compare the two, because Bart and Gil are totally separate in their design style. But when you see a Bart Sears piece, you don't really have to scratch your head and think about who that guy is, because it's a standout. Your art is an outlier. I'll put it like that. And it really stands out from the pack. Like you take Jim Lee or any of those that were the disciples of Jim Lee who came along after. It's become, that style is certainly for a long period of time at least, was the homogenized 2% white milk version of comic book art. It was the pinnacle that everybody pursued, certainly throughout the 90s, was that Jim Lee, tight, specific style. I think that was kind of, that's my opinion anyway. And I've always been a guy who was a fan of who took another tack to do their artwork. And nobody does massive like Bart does, and I knew that I really wanted to have, what he drew, that cover with the guy, looming over the lead character the way that he does. It's just beautiful. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I always saw my style as more basic drawing. I've put different line work over it for different books and different projects, but the heart of my style is actually how things are drawn. And I always thought a lot of that style stuff you're talking about in the 90s was really just all about the line work, not about what's underneath. And it's just different, I guess.
Yeah. No, I agree. And how much so say somebody wanted to I know this is crazy, but say they wanted to pledge to Outlier. So how much is the to get the cover that Bart did? How much
the actual physical copy with Bart's art on it, I believe, is $20.
Bargain.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let me look it up real quick. I don't have it in front of me. I should have, but I don't. It's there in the different levels. You can get the digital version for even cheaper than that if you are so inclined. There we go. Just give me a second to pull it up. All right, so scroll there on the side. $10 gets you the digital version. Yeah, $20 gets you cover B, the Bart Sears edition, and you get the Bart Sears plus the digital version for $20. $35 gets you both covers, and $65 it's going to get you the Bart Sears cover and a signed poster by Mr. Bart.
Wow.
I'm gonna send posters up to Bart to have him sign, and honestly, that's what part of that is for, is just to cover the expense of all the legwork of sending it there and then sending it back and sending it wherever. So.
Yeah, it gets expensive.
Yep.
That's cool though. That's neat that you're doing the poster too for it.
Yeah, and I've got different stretch goals and stuff that are there for people if they're interested in that sort of thing. Honestly, I'm probably going to release the decal set, whether we hit that pledge goal or not, just simply because I want to make that available to people, and it's something that I can produce in the house relatively easy. We'll do some decals to hand out just as freebies for
free for shows
to book.
Hey, people love stuff like that.
Yep.
I can't believe how many people like pens and things, because I just.
Well, it's just everybody loves to, I did that and got the T-shirt,
Right. Yep.
It's just
It's been alien to me. I'm not a collector. I don't collect anything. I mean, all my comics are ripped and torn and folded in half and, been taped on a wall at some point. I mean,
see, I'm the same way as you on that front. Other than the fact that I've got some I haven't read in a million years that, but I have some that actually got left out in the rain. The box by mistake got left out in the rain. And I salvaged them, but I don't want new copies. I'll keep those. But I've always been a reader and not a collector. But I say that I had for a long period of time I collected. Whenever Marvel was doing the really cool Legend series action figures with the Build-A-Figures and all that, I got pretty big into that for a while. And we were away at Christmas back, I want to say 2018, and we had some probably meth heads break into the house, and they wiped me out. Took my whole collection of, stole a bunch of stuff that my wife had too. But I mean, everything that had value that wasn't nailed down. These people had time over that weekend to take the toilet seat. I'm not kidding. They took the toilet seat out of my house.
Yeah.
wow.
That sounds a little meth heady.
Yeah, it was really random. The toilet seat and the shower head. Wasn't nothing special about the shower head other than the dog washing attachment, So, but that kind of put a kibosh on my collecting. The cost to come back and replace some of those things. I had a lot of the McFarlane toys and stuff. Forget about it. I'm not doing that.
Well,
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, if you want to help him out with the with Outlier, definitely do what you can. The sooner the better. Because he's gonna hit the middle desert area of the campaign where you don't get as many views and everything. So definitely, even if you just want to look at everything, go there and look. Don't just think about it. Do it. Because all the algorithms and everything track that stuff, and the more people that have look, you'll do it, and you will find. I mean, those are some actually really good prices, especially for variant covers by known people.
Yeah. If you read about it, it's actually a pretty cool project. So
yeah,
definitely check it out.
Yeah, take the time, and go through it. And Mike's. How many weeks do you have left now, Mike?
We only have 5 days left, but then we're going to go into on demand, and there's some hidden stretch goals. We're at almost at 19,000 now. When we reach 20, I dye my hair blue. 30 green, 40 mohawk, 50 I shave my skull. Now, who doesn't want to see that?
I just want to see the blue.
I'm hoping for the mohawk myself.
I don't know, man.
I will when I have mine coming up soon. I'll do something like that too. My wife won't like it, but I would.
That's the campaign down in the lower right-hand corner. Thin blue line on
Thin blue line.
Just featured in an article in the Federalist, and I'm getting a lot of support from the boys in blue all over the country. In fact, I have a police officer from Aurora who's coming up Friday night with his family to have dinner with me.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, didn't you just get interviewed by by one of the police
National Police Association?
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, I'm glad. Frankly, Mike, you belong. You said before you're not as famous as some of those other guys. You belong up there. I mean, arguably. Say again.
Monsieur is too kind.
Nah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Mike is pretty infamous personally.
Yeah. Well.
But sometimes that's even better.
The story about me biting the rat just keeps coming back and haunting me.
Yeah.
But anyhow, just two more sentences. The Thin Blue Line is a gripping story from beginning to end. Don't buy it because it's a political polemic. It's not. Buy it because it's a great story.
There you go.
Yeah. It sounds I will say it sounds like one of those movies where it's like they're just trying to survive the night. And it reminds me of that kind of 80s
Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah.
There you go. Honestly, there was a time that a film like this would be a shoe-in.
Oh yeah.
Yep. You know, it's just not fair if what's his name, Frank Miller can do RoboCop 3, you ought to be able to do the Thin Blue Line 1.
Oh, we're doing it, and we're very happy with our progress so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
Whoa.
Because crowdfunding is not easy.
We just hit 19,000.
Oh, here comes
So
the
that
blue hair.
That blue hair is within reaching, touching distance.
I'm telling you, Lincoln, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do to your hair?
Oh, dude,
Strike.
I'm gonna appreciate.
Strike.
Yeah. I don't know. One of my favorite authors in the world dyed his hair blue whenever he married a new wife. I don't know, man. I'm skittish of that sort of thing.
Who was it?
Oh God, Jim Butcher.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I think I've met him.
that's funny.
He's a fantastic writer. He does characters better than anybody I know. He does the Dresden Files.
Mhm.
Yep. See,
Anyway.
you live in Arkansas. Nobody will see it, man. What, you got a population of like 11?
Oh, see, no, you're just being unkind now. I'll have you know, there's 16,000 people in my home county.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa!
Are they alive?
Yeah, most of them. Most of them. Although, like I said, the meth abounds.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we can let you guys go. Definitely go and support their projects and keep your eyes out for
Thank you so much for having us.
BART SEARS upcoming
Yeah,
thing.
thank you very
Bart,
much.
do you have don't you have like a website or something for your art?
Bart Sears Art.
BartSearsArt.com
I think so, yeah.
or .cult probably.
You
I wish.
pulled a lot of stuff out of your treasure vault, as it were, too, haven't you lately? And make it available. People-
Organizing stuff, and I've never thrown away a rough or an underdrawing or anything. So I've got like, I don't know, 15 or 20,000 underdrawings of almost everything I've ever drawn. So
Oh my God.
Wow.
we got tons of stuff. It's mind-boggling. I can't even remember what I looked through last night, let alone the other boxes I got there.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Very cool. And I'm sure maybe some of it will make it up on your website or something.
All over on Facebook. He's got plenty of it out there.
Oh yeah.
Although
Instagram.
Yeah. Speaking of which, is there a specific place you'd like people to follow you, or where you're more active? Is it Facebook or Instagram or?
Right now it's Facebook and Instagram, and both are Bart Sears Art. I've got mostly I promoted my personal page on Facebook, which I've had forever, and not realizing that it was capped at
Right.
5,000 friends. So I'm slowly going to get rid of that and just go to Bart Sears Art.
Oh, Bart, we're friends already.
Yeah.
See, I knew we met somewhere. It just happened to be digitally.
Oh my goodness. Lincoln, is there a place where you'd like people to follow you?
I'm primarily on Facebook. You can find me under Lincoln Branch at Facebook. I'm also on the Twitter at B Branch. That's BRANSCH, much to Mike's derision. At B Branch on Twitter.
Awesome. And it was like, yeah, we'll let these guys go, but and definitely there's only a couple days left, although they will be doing some on-demand stuff for Thin Blue Line. See, we're getting calls. That's Hollywood calling.
Yeah, that'd be great. I want the Steve Niles deal. Anyway, I've got 27 days left on my project. I'm trying to reach a humble $3,500, and I would sure appreciate anybody signing up. If you can't buy it, go look at it and share it out so other people can see it. I promise you, we're going to deliver. The art's already done and ready to go. I just coloring and lettering is all that remains, and that's all on me. So we're gonna get it out there to you and make it look fantastic. I appreciate everybody who wants to help out.
Well, thanks for joining us, fellas.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We
Great,
appreciate
thanks, guys.
I appreciate being here.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
We appreciate having you.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
All right,
See you later.
See you later.